The Bamboo and the Blade, a parable about integrity. The governor's summons. In the time of the Eastern dynasties, in a valley cradled by silver mountains and flowing rivers, there lived an old man named Y, a humble bamboo craftsman. His hands were stained with oil and time. His tools were few, and his days were quiet. He made flutes that sang like birds, tea scoops that fit the hand like memory, and baskets woven with a grace that reminded villagers of the wind moving through leaves. He never charged more than a fair coin. He never lied about the strength of his bamboo. And he never rushed his work, even when others offered extra coin for haste. In a world that bowed to speed and silver, Y was slow and true. One morning, as the mist still clung to the hills, a messenger on horseback arrived at his shop. "You are summoned," the rider said, dismounting. "The governor of the province requests your presence at once." Y looked up from the flute he was carving. He wiped his hands on a cloth and bowed politely. "I am only a bamboo worker," he said. "What would the governor want with me?" The rider did not answer. He only handed Y a scroll sealed with red wax. Y packed his tools, closed his small shop, and began the long walk to the governor's estate. Tatad, the Palace of Power. The governor's palace was vast and carved from stone quarried by hands long buried. Its walls were tall and cold. Its guards wore steel, and its halls echoed with silence heavy as thunder. Y entered the throne room with bare feet and bowed. The governor sat high on a platform, dressed in robes of jade and gold. He was not old, but his face bore the tightness of someone who smiled only in private. "Y of the bamboo," he said. "You are known throughout the province for your honesty. They say your flutes never crack, your baskets never split, and your words never bend." Y bowed again. "I do what I can, governor." The governor rose and beckoned a servant, who presented an elegant scroll. "I have an offer for you," he said, "one that will make you rich beyond need. I have plans for a gift, a sword for the emperor himself. I need a bamboo case to hold it, but not just any bamboo. It must appear strong, yet break easily." Y blinked. "Break easily?" "Yes," the governor said, smiling faintly. "When the emperor draws the sword before the court, the case will split apart in a dramatic display. It will make my gift appear divine. I want people to believe the sword itself shattered the bamboo." Y stood in silence for a long moment. Then he said, "I can make a case that is beautiful, but I cannot make one that pretends to be strong. That would be dishonest." The governor's smile thinned. "I am not asking," he said. "I am ordering." Y looked at his hands. They were weathered, knotted with years of labor, but they did not tremble. Then he looked at the governor and said calmly, "I will not make what I do not believe in." 33. The price of refusal. The palace grew still. The governor's voice dropped. "Do you know what it means to disobey me?" "I do," said Y. "But I know what it means to disobey myself too." The guards stepped forward. "Imprison him," the governor ordered. "Let him reflect on humility." Y was taken to the depths of the palace, a cell with stone walls and no windows. Days passed, then weeks. Each day he was offered freedom if he agreed to build the governor's false bamboo case. Each day he declined. At night he spoke to himself in whispers, repeating truths like mantras. "Bamboo does not pretend to be oak. Water does not boast it is fire. And I will not carve with hands that lie." Some nights he wept, other nights he smiled, but he never gave in. I feel me. The sword ceremony. The emperor's visit drew near. Desperate to complete his plan, the governor hired another craftsman to build the case, a man who smiled too easily and carved quickly. The case was finished, hollow and brittle, though beautiful. When the emperor arrived, the governor presented the sword in front of the entire court. He spoke of divine steel, the blessings of the heavens, the legend of the blade. Then, with great flair, he drew the sword from the bamboo case. As planned, the case split, and fell apart dramatically. Gasps filled the hall. The crowd clapped. The governor bowed low, but the emperor raised a single hand. Silence returned. He stepped forward, picked up a piece of the broken bamboo, and pressed it between his fingers. It snapped like paper. He frowned. "This is not real bamboo," he said quietly. The governor stammered. "It is only weakened for effect." The emperor's eyes narrowed. Truth is not a matter of effect. He looked to his ministers. Who made this case? The governor hesitated, and in that moment, one of the court scribes stepped forward. He had once lived in Wai's village. He had seen the old man's work. "A man named Wai refused to make it," he said. "He was imprisoned for his refusal." The emperor turned slowly. "Bring him to me." The final choice. Wai stood before the emperor, thinner, but still upright. The emperor looked at him closely. "You were asked to build a false thing, and you said no." "I did." "You were offered wealth and freedom." "I was." "Why did you refuse?" Wai met the emperor's gaze. "Because my hands are not separate from my heart, and my work is my name. If I bend the truth, even in wood, I am no longer Wei." The emperor was silent. Then he smiled. "Release him," he said, "and have him make me a flute instead, one that does not split or lie." The governor was stripped of his office within the month. I returned home with nothing but his tools and his name. The villagers greeted him with warmth, and the bamboo grove seemed to bend gently as he passed, as if they had waited for his return. The whispering wind. Years passed. The story of Wai spread across provinces, and flutes made by his hand were treasured across the empire. Not because they were ornate, but because they played the truth. One evening, as he sat beneath a bamboo tree with a student, the young boy asked him, "Master Wei, was it worth it? The prison, the hunger, the risk?" Wai placed a hand on the boy's shoulder and handed him a flute. "If a tree loses all its leaves in a storm but keeps its roots, will it not grow again?" "Yes." "Then yes," he said. "It was worth it." And as the wind passed through the bamboo, the grove sang softly, not with pride, not with anger, but with the quiet strength of something that bends, yet never breaks. Closing reflection. Integrity is not loud. It does not boast. It is the root that holds when storms come, the hand that does not shake when tempted, the flute that does not crack, even under fire. To live with integrity is to live like bamboo, flexible in the wind, but never hollow inside.